Do you also have that cringy t-shirt you just cannot wear? Get it out of the closet because you can easily give it a second chance. We're going to need scrap fabric, and in this case linen is better, a thin cardboard and a pencil, scissors, pins, and fabric glue. You could also try to do this with permanent hemming tape, but I bet the result will not be the same. I did end up using it, but for a different purpose. You'll see. You'll also need an iron. Don't forget to like this video and consider subscribing to the channel for more upcycling videos like this. And now, let's begin. We're going to need that cardboard to be exactly the size of the patch that we are going to create. And of course, it needs to cover our cringy print. And now we unleash our inner Picasso. I came up with this, but the options are infinite. You could, for example, do these patterns, or this if you're up for something more challenging. So when we have our pattern, we go ahead and cut it. Each piece is going to help us shaping the fabric scraps. Now we take them, and if we want to be precise, we also figure out which one is the wrong side of the scraps. We want all the wrong sides up, and if you can't tell the wrong from the right side, no problem at all. If there is any difference, just pick the best side and put it down, because that's gonna be the face of our patch. For each piece, we cut the fabric around the cardboard to be something like a centimeter bigger, and just around the curves, we do little cuts. And this is where we need our iron. Here I fold the fabric following the shape of the cardboard, and I press it. On the corners, just fold naturally, and if necessary, cut a little bit of fabric if that reduces a little bit of bulk. And do that for the whole perimeter of the cardboard, and when you're done, you let it cool down a little bit, and you can remove the shape and put it just below to avoid making a mess with the fabric glue. We're going to use just a little tiny bit of glue, only to secure in place those flaps before we put them on the t-shirt. Trust me, you really need just a little bit. If not, you'll end up like me with glue on the other side, which you can scratch a little bit with some nail power. We repeat the same steps for the other shapes, and we get our t-shirt again. And here I forgot a step, but since you are on time, don't forget to put a protection underneath the first layer of the t-shirt. This way you'll avoid getting spots of glue in the back of the t-shirt like I did. Do you see how stiff is this purple fabric? The other two are really lightweight, so I pinned them to the cardboard to give them a little structure and place them on the t-shirt without wrinkles. And now one by one we glue each patch on the t-shirt. Again, we don't need a lot of glue, just a little bit to secure it in place. If we use too much, it will leak through the patch and get messy. For the patches pinned to the cardboard, it's even easier because you can just turn them, glue them, and place them on the t-shirt. I'm using embroidery floss, but you can also use regular thread to thread a needle and hand sew along the perimeter of my patch. We make a knot on the long end of the thread, and we start from the inside of the t-shirt, grabbing a little bit of fabric, coming out with the needle and threading the needle in that little loop between the two ends of the thread. When the thread is anchored, I emerge with the needle on the other side and start doing running stitches, grabbing a little bit of fabric at a time. I do that for the whole perimeter, and in the end I simply tie a knot to anchor it. And now you can stop here, but you see this gap? I want to correct for it by running an invisible stitch in between those two patches. So I thread the needle with regular thread and start joining the two edges of the patches, alternating, grabbing a little bit of fabric on the very edge of each patch. Now this is how I use the hemming tape. You see how long these leaves are for me? I decided to shorten them, so I rolled them not once but twice, and I grabbed the hemming tape, I peeled it off, and I had a little bit of a disagreement with it. So I started making the pieces smaller and peeled them off only after attaching one side to the hem. I did that just in a few points along the hem and call it a day. Check out my other videos where I show you other ways to upcycle t-shirts.